guess I was confused because it reads such that when and whether a major or a minor plan has to be done should be specified somewhere else, because this section is solely dedicated to content and format requirements.
It is designated somewhere else.
But then you're saying that this amendment may possibly affect whether or not they're required to submit it in the first place, whether it's digital or paper.
They're required to submit a paper version anyway, and that's in our subdivision development regulations. A different article. Article 3 is minor subdivision plats. Article 4 is minor development plans. So it's designated when you have to submit them, when it's a minor, when it's a major, in that you have to submit it. This is just the separate section on digital submittals that's being changed to say it's not just major plans and plats that need the digital, it's minors as well.
I think we can add some language that makes that statement, which is the assumption that I was under, clearer. This section shall in no way affect whether, if there's any way to read it that such that there was a dumpster pad or something that didn't require a plan to be drafted before, but now somehow does, we can eliminate that by saying this does not change those requirements. All this does is say whether it has to be digital or not digital. And I guess the idea is you want everything to be submitted digitally now. And you're saying there's a potential for waiving ones that are so minor as to not even really require a development plan in the first place. Things that you would waive a development plan for, you would also therefore waive the digital requirement.
Well, I think we're going to still want the paper copy regardless. Even those minor things, we ask for a drawing. So that we can check setbacks, we can check the zoning, we can check things, and then we approve it, stamp it, approve it, and send it to building inspection so that they can issue the building permit, knowing that it meets zoning and it meets setbacks and it meets our requirements. So to answer your question, if there's anything minor enough that doesn't require one at all, well, if there's any work, if there's anything being built structurally, then we ask for a drawing.
Joe, my biggest point here, the sentence, this requirement does not include minor plats and/or boundary line adjustments, and you guys have stricken that.
Mm-hmm.
So now you've changed the category that's required under this. You've added the whole minor plats to this. My question is, maybe you can get that to us next time. How much burden is that going to be on minor plats? How much is that going to increase the cost for minor plats?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a planner, so I don't have a good understanding of that.
Well, a digital submittal is just a submittal of the digital file of the drawing that's done. That's being done.
File, how much is it? We're putting a burden on the minor plat presenter of what he has to present to you. You put all these specifications.
Well, it doesn't cost anything more than it costs to do the drawing, to submit the digital submittal by email.
The minor plat presented to you does not have the requirement now to do all these layers. This is going to change it to where somebody who presents a minor plat is now going to have to hire somebody to create all these layers, to create this digital file. And I'm asking you what the difference is going to be from what the requirement is now and what the requirement will be when this is passed. I'm trying to get an understanding for the difference between them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to vote on something that's going to create this huge burden on people down the road. They're going to say, I had to hire an engineer and pay $3,000 or $4,000 engineering fees to get this done.
I understand your concern. Are you talking about minor plats in the county? I mean, the digital submittals.
Just minor plats. Whatever would qualify as a minor plat.
It's just a digital copy of the drawing that's done anyway. It's not the creation of additional layers.
I'm just asking my question. What would that cost? What increased burden would that put on us?
Like I said, I think the increased cost would be that the minor plats need to be tied to the state plane coordinate now.
What would that cost somebody to do?
The cost of GPS equipment.
And the labor to do it. How much time would it take to do it?
Yeah.
We're
and
probably not going to get to this answer tonight. Would
Yeah.
you get that information and bring it back to the next council member meeting, please?
I was just
Yes.
trying to make sure he understood my question.
He's heard it enough times to where
Okay.
surely he does.
I think I got it. Anything else? Dave?
Marilyn, can I add something really simple? I mean, sometimes we just don't understand all the nuance, all the minutia that goes into this, and I think maybe sometimes we're also, at least speaking on my behalf, concerned with creating another layer, for a good word, that creates additional expense and additional burden on whether it be the engineer or maybe the business or maybe the individual that's trying to get something done.
Mm-hmm.
And we've tried to say that we want to be business friendly in this community. We want to bring more business in. So I think there's some level of caution. At least, I take that approach, and I feel like maybe Mr. Bradley's taking that same approach as well. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. And the idea was just to get that information that's already being created on a piece of paper, and to be able to get that digitally so that we can use it easily.
And maybe if we understand that whole sequence better, then we can make a better decision on it.
I think that would help a lot, because I'm new to this,
Mm-hmm.
too, and just to find out the sequence and,
Okay.
making it work for everybody.
Okay. All right. Well,
We'll plan on first reading at a subsequent meeting.
okay.
This can't constitute first reading. There are too many legitimate
All right.
questions.
I should have brought up in the beginning, too, that there was a public hearing on this at Planning Commission, and did go through that proper channel. So if y'all wanted to, I guess y'all don't do workshops yet, do you?
We did
On the
all
weekend
Saturday.
workshops?
We did. We got
Field trips. We got a lot of Friday night workshops.
Get them in all one for the whole year one time.
Extras, so.
I think what you're
But-
getting at is we can make the changes that we need to make, and we can have first reading, and you guys could have, if you feel those changes are substantive enough that you all require an additional public hearing, you can do that subsequent to our changes, correct?
Yeah, we could do that. And if the minor was too much of an issue, adding the requirement to minors, I mean, we'd rather get these additional layers from majors, because that's what we see the majority of. And we can always we can digitize minors the way we've been doing it, just take us a little extra time.
You could. What if a compromise was you require the layers on the major, but you required a digital submission for minor, but no layers? Would that reduce some of Mr. Bradley's concerns? Because honestly, all of the engineers are using digital programs. None of them are hand drawing things anymore. It's a matter of hitting the save button.
My concerns may be unwarranted.
Sure.
I just why I wanted to
Yeah.
answer the question is what it's going to cost. If it's negligible,
Well,
I'm all with it. Okay.
all right. Well, we can probably just talk about it a little bit before the next, or at the next meeting, or I can get you some answers that would satisfy your concerns. And we'll just
Okay.
go from there.
Any more questions for Joe?
I have a question. Doesn't relate to this. It's an aside. Your website that's up now, is there still street guides on the website?
We do have a street guide on there.
Where can I find it?
I'll have to send you the link to it if I do that.
If you don't mind, I would like to have that. Actually, I used it, and I've given it out to a lot of other people in the community to use, and I can't find it anymore. So
Okay. Yeah, did you call our office recently?
I sent an email, but I didn't get a response back.
Okay, somebody called our office and,
Okay. It could have been somebody
Ryan had
that wanted it, and I couldn't find it for them, and they were called.
okay,
But yes, it's a very handy tool, so if I
Yeah.
can find it again.
yeah, we can get it to you. All right. Sorry to take up so much time.
Thank you.
All right.
Chief?
Really don't have anything. Last week, your officers did a great job on a robbery It followed a tip from a citizen, and we're going to do accommodation next week for that citizen. And we accepted a $600 grant from, or the CPA did, from Toyota for our new Explorers program. So that's all we got.
While the chief's at the podium, just a very vague comment for the council. We're normally, we know about what actions people take. Sometimes it's the events that we avoid that are some of our greatest successes. And 2 weekends ago, we avoided a set of circumstances here in the community that could have been dangerous and problematic, and because of some preliminary information that Chief Bossy received and some real quick internal work, a lot of people pitched in and made sure a potentially tough set of circumstances did not occur in Georgetown. And I think that we need to acknowledge great work when it stops something from happening. We can't celebrate what we accomplished other than something didn't happen, but it was a big deal, and we all worked together on that, and Chief of the Police Department did a great job with it.
Thanks, sir.
Council comments. Where shall we start tonight?
I have nothing. So go ahead.
Connie?
No, nothing.
Chuck?
Talked enough.
Going back to the earlier in the meeting when you were talking about the two bridges. Obviously, the bridge on Bridge Street, we realize now is going to have signs stating that you can't go in either direction.
That's right.
But the other bridge that's by Carbide Products, we're all creatures of habit, and sometimes if you're driving, you don't necessarily pay attention. So if that weight limit has gone from 12 tons to 8 tons, and there's two businesses there, you've got Carbide Products, and then the business right directly behind it that do receive deliveries and pickups from heavy trucks. Is there a way that we can put, either we, the city, or the state, can put some kind of signage up on both sides of that bridge, you know, whether it's 30 days or 60 days, to identify that weight change before you get to the bridge? Because once you get to the bridge, if you're in a big truck, you know, excluding a fire truck or a garbage truck, it's going to be almost impossible to turn around to avoid that area. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there.
Limited load capacity bridge ahead.
Or weight limit has been reduced from 12 tons to 8 tons. Just something out there to identify that weight change.
Like a warning?
Whether it's an electronic sign flashing or some type of signage. Doesn't have to be permanent, but at least temporary.
It's absolutely something we can look into, but I want to point out also that I'm nearly certain that it's in the CDL training that they make sure, because nobody who doesn't have CDL training is going to be driving a truck that's bigger than 8 tons. I don't think you qualify if it's over 6. But they're trained to look for that sign. But you're absolutely right. I think something that indicates that it's recently been changed is appropriate.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point out that your average person is probably not going to see that, but your average person is also not driving an 8-ton truck.
But Mark's correct, though. If you've been driving that route for 10 years and you've been crossing that bridge and you got a 10-ton truck and it went to 8, I personally wouldn't pay no attention to no sign.
Sure.
I'd went around, you know.
That's a good point.
But it needs to be on both sides.
Yeah.
Coming in off the bypass, and then also as you're leaving Carbide Products going towards the bypass.
What you're worried about is the truck getting right up to the bridge, the
Then-
threshold of the
Yeah.
bridge.
Turn around and back.
Yeah, so I think what you're asking for is for it to be in advance of the bridge, right? At some point in which they can make a turn or
For the curve.
diversion or whatever.
You know, that's going to throw, what Mark's point he's bringing up is a good point, because it's going to throw a lot of that traffic back coming out on Military to come out onto Main Street. So that's a good point.
Yeah, I think that additional signage would be helpful.
I've got one other item. It's small. Mr. Thompson brought it to my attention when we ran into each other Friday night, and then I noticed it tonight coming in towards town. There's a garbage bag.
You didn't get my chance to get to it.
Okay, well, you go ahead.
No,
You
no,
take
go
that
ahead.
one.
You
You
didn't
take
start
it.
it out. Go ahead.
I didn't know you were going to do it.
No, that's
Go
all
ahead.
right. Go ahead. You wouldn't buy my dinner the other night. Go ahead and talk about it.
Oh, my God.
I'm going to stop right there. You go ahead.
But they got the chair across the road.
I know. Well,
All right, anything else, Mark? David?
Two things real quick, Mayor. The rock wall in front of the Japanese garden is I don't know if anybody's noticed it, but it's in pretty bad shape. And I did call planning and zoning, talk to Megan a little bit about it. Wondered if there was any grant money out there. Kitty Dogood mentioned a company that does stone wall restoration, and she gave that information to them. But I don't know, that's obviously one of the entrances into our city, and it's right there in front of the garden, which we've spent a lot of money on, and we take a lot of pride in it. But yet that historic wall looks horrible. And I just want to make us all aware of it, and see if anybody has any thoughts on a way that we can make some improvements to it, whether it be through grants, maybe through whatever. But I just don't think it's right that the wall is in the condition that it's in. It's nobody's fault. It just happened over time. It's probably hundreds of years. But anyway.
Definitely take a look. Thank you.
And I know those are the types of things that you're focused on over the next few years, making improvements. And then the other thing would be street sweeping. And I know that we've all talked about that. But Cherry Blossom has gotten really, really bad again going out to Toyota. And the reason I say that, it gets such, the traffic volume is so high at certain periods of time that the turning lane is full of gravel. And Linda Wise has helped clean that up a couple times over the past, 6 months or however long she's been in her capacity. But it's worse now than I've ever seen it, just from all the deterioration from the ice and the snow, freezing, thawing, whatever's going on. But what happens, and I've explained this before, cars get over in that lane, and they slide. I mean, if they try to stop very quickly or turn, it's that bad that there's shifting going on. So if there's anything that Public Works can do.
Did you say Cherry Blossom?
Yeah.
Is it the state road?
Yeah, we
Cherry
know it's the
Blossom?
state.
Essentially from Walmart heading out towards Toyota, which is a state road, and Linda's had the conversation with the state, I believe, and they've addressed it a couple of times over the past 6 months, but the condition right now is worse than it's ever been. And I'm sure they're going to do some work on it this summer, but
And Cherry Blossom itself is just in terrible
it
condition.
is.
Yeah.
Approaching the Lexus opening, and Cherry Blossom itself needs paving badly.
I'm sure they're going to say we're going to resurface it this year, but I'm just concerned about the danger that is today.
Condition of Cherry Blossom is like item number 2 or 3 on our list to talk to the state on Thursday. So.
Good catch, though. Anything else?
Thank you.
Marvin?
Well, Mark wouldn't finish his statement. There's garbage still sitting out there down below Mrs. Sams's place. Bag garbage still sitting there. We talked about it 2 weeks ago.
They got the chair across this side of the street. On their side.
So where is this garbage bag?
Well, it's almost in Mrs. Sam's property, but it's really in front of the guy that runs the car lot, isn't it?
It's down where they got the chair on the one side. The bag was on the opposite side on Paris Pike, and they picked up the chair,
Yeah.
but left the bag on the other side. And anyway,
Selective picking.
selective picking. Yes.
Well, maybe they could get something out of the chair.
I may go get that on the way home tonight.
You better,
Like your car?
I was
man, it's
thinking.
full of everything, water and everything else right
Yeah,
now.
I need to pick up.
Yeah.
The worst part about it,
Nasty.
if it gets down into the,
I know. like
where the
that.
water runs and they do some bush hog down in there during the winter, it'll be everywhere.
Okay, one trash bag. What else you got?
Well, that's all I, still didn't get dinner out of him, but that's all it is.
Paul?
Yeah, Debbie Birdwhistle, victims advocate for the court system, asked me to hand this out, so I put this at your all's desk. for April being Child Abuse Prevention Month. They're the ones that put up the little pinwheels at Garth Elementary that you see every April. And she just asked me to pass this along. And there's some other events that month, and I'll be posting them. But
Good.
you just
And that Growing Up Safe program has been active here for probably 25 years, and still needed. Really?
I still want some discussion and some consideration for that sidewalk. I'm not giving up. It's a safety issue because everybody walks in the middle of the road.
Good.
And there's several, apartment complexes or two with several people living there and a few houses where there's just no safety, And I just plugging along, don't forget about me.
Also on our list with transportation.
It's important.
Thank you. Anything else, Millie?
That's all, thank you.
Anything else for the good of the order tonight?
Yay.
We'll stand adjourned. Thank y'all.
Yeah, Andrew said it was on there.
We did have the motion.